So Jake, I mean, in a turbulent market that we have now, what's your opinion on how, an average investor should take it, how they should approach it, and benefit from it?
I think it really depends on what you're used to investing in or the type of asset class you usually invest in, whether that's stocks on the open market or real estate or gold even. But, if you look at what happened yesterday in the Middle East, where it looked like, there's a lot of escalation in terms of the war there. Well, most people sitting in the UK think, oh, well, that's very far away. That'll never affect my finances. But actually, there's probably a lot of risk committees around the world in major banks getting around the table and thinking to themselves, we need to de-risk here because there's a lot of problems coming, not just there, but actually globally. There's geopolitical tensions right across the world, and that all has a ripple effect right across all different types of markets. You've seen what gold's done recently in terms of price. I remember years ago we said, when we went into the natural resource space, you used to get the naysayers who used to say it'll never hit $2,000. Well, it's way past that.
Yeah, or it'll only increase 5% maximum in one calendar year.
Yeah. It's amazing because if you look at the last 5 years, how the world changed it's astronomical in terms of how the whole world changed. It's how unstable it is, how fragmented it is, and very different from what was happening when I came into business 15 years ago, where it was all part of globalization. All countries were working with each other, or most were, and they were all intertwined, and one part of the world was affected by the other. But now, in terms of strategies going forward, I know a lot of investors that are just money straight into gold. It doesn't give them a return, but it's getting good capital growth, and gold was never really a fantastic investment for growth because it was more of a stable option where people just put it to hedge against, economic factors or instability. But now you're seeing that as a main strategy. Real estate's the same. People don't want their money in banks anymore. They want it in bricks and mortar, as we well know. But the right bricks and mortar, not for example, the buy-to-let market, where it's so unstable, where you're at the mercy of valuations done by valuers who are just thinking about their insurance policy. And we know this. We've had so many of our own clients tell us this. Feedback we get supports these arguments. It's very interesting. Yeah, I think saving money is a very culturally driven thing. You'll find that, in the UK, for example, we all go through education. No one teaches you about, credit cards. No one teaches you about mortgages. You only really find that out when you become an adult, and you're going for your first mortgage or you're applying for your first credit card. And it's the same with savings. People tend to be caught up in that culture where they've just been like, oh, if you get paid some money, you just put it in the bank and let it sit there. Well, the only person you're really servicing, or the only person that's doing well out of that is a bank, because they've got that money lent out, probably at double the rate they're paying you.
Yeah, we all know that if you're making a large deposit, the bank next day is, lending that money out, probably 90% of it, and just keep, if they take £100 of your money, they're lending 90 and they're keeping a 10 aside.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you've got two things there. You've got the rate of inflation. Now, obviously, inflation's came down in the UK, but when inflation's at a certain percent, that doesn't mean to say inflation stopped. Most people get that confused. Inflation is still a problem.
Yeah, and there's a lot of hidden inflation.
Yeah, well, that's what the government reports on. Let's face it, who can trust them? I think that everyone in the UK is at this point right now where they think, who can trust the government?
I think the way they measure that needs to be questioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've also got the stability of the banks. Now, I came into business as Northern Rock was going under, a bank in the UK. And, people were queuing up there as millionaires, and they were leaving that bank not millionaires, because the bank said, we can only pay you this out. And I've seen that, and it's amazing that I think people have forgotten that. They think, oh, that will never happen again. I'm not so sure. I think there's certain UK banks that are very vulnerable. I don't think they have I think they're very exposed, especially in different parts of the world that are very unstable. And I think the British culture will catch people out eventually. in terms of what happened to those customers at Northern Rock, I think will definitely happen again within the next decade. I really do. And the worst thing is that this time the government can't bail them out because the government have nothing.